with me. And today we have a guest star on the program. And this is great. I have been waiting for this episode all month. So I am really excited. So I have the pleasure to be with who today?
With Samantha Lloyd of Metaranx.
Samantha, thank you so much. So do you want Samantha or Sam? Because
Sam is good. I always go by Sam. I don't know why I said Samantha. I think it's just because my name's there. That was like my nervous intro.
No worries. When I was thinking about it, I was like, oh crap, she does not like what I've been calling her for a year.
Nope, I'm Sam.
Okay. Well, you know what? First of all, I want to know, so Sam, who are you? Well, if someone has not heard about Metaranx or not familiar, could you give us a quick rundown who you are and what Metaranx is?
Sure. So I guess I tend to always introduce myself in terms of my career. So my background is in marketing, digital marketing specifically, and I'm a content marketer with expertise in SEO, love SEO, and can talk about that forever if anyone's interested. No one ever is. But so Metaranx, I used to be a no-code artificial intelligence platform, and that's kind of what we were working with all last year in 2020 with it. And we just couldn't make it work, and we'll go all into that today. And then we decided, it's either we change this or maybe we go back to work in a kind of a very difficult time to find a job. So we decided, we still have some runway. What matters to us? Like, what do we really want to do? What would be exciting? Let's pivot. And we ended up with a platform where you can shop locally online. So right now we just have the shops displayed, which you can see on our site there. And the eventual product will allow you to actually shop and buy these products from local stores online. So I've had a lot of fun building this out. If you can tell by the excessive amount of content I put out, I really enjoy writing about this topic and speaking with the shop owners. And right now we're focusing in Toronto, of course, because that's our city, but we do hope to expand.
Yeah, that's awesome. And also, I saw like someone in your comments when you were mentioning the show, they were already talking about like trying to expand to their city.
Yeah, we've had a couple of emails of people wondering if we're going to expand to their cities. Also someone in Australia, which of course would love to expand there. But yeah, we're going to obviously probably stick with Canada first, just because it makes the most sense, especially if the travel bans and everything persist. It'll be easier to just kind of move this across Canada, but we really want to prove it out in Toronto, of course.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so we're gonna come back, and I definitely want to hear about Metaranx and what you're doing in local businesses. Can we rewind a little bit and talk about Metaranx, like how you first envisioned this, and then kind of go and then the timeline, then see what's going on with Metaranx now? Is that okay?
Yeah, let's do the whole timeline.
Okay. So I think I met you last March. It was when COVID, like everything locked down. I think I met you on one of Sako's like live streams. And so it was something about artificial intelligence. I was like, what? Wait a minute. This is interesting. So could you talk about like last year, about March 2020? What was it looking like and all of those things?
Yes, for sure. So yeah, we launched when everything kind of went into lockdown, and we launched with this kind of artificial intelligence platform that we were thinking could be kind of like codeless. And when we presented it to you, it was definitely more in line with like a rapid development platform. It was still very confusing, as you guys pointed out. Like, this was not something that could be in the no code space. And we weren't really aware that there was this kind of like no code space that we could put artificial intelligence into. And so when we started doing more research, we shifted away from kind of that rapid development platform where we're asking you to choose between like CPUs and GPUs and other things that really I can't even define in artificial intelligence after 8 months there. And so we tried to just really simplify it and take everyone's feedback within the no-code community. And then I think by May, we had launched something that was a bit more simplified, but it still wasn't there yet. We were slowly letting people into the closed beta between March and May, and just letting people give us feedback. And like I always say, the no-code community is really great at giving feedback, which is huge. You honestly can't beat that when you're running any kind of company or startup. But yeah, we couldn't make it work still. Like, there's still something missing. And I think with AI, it's because it's still so narrow. AI is not like a general intelligence. It's meant for specific tasks. And so that's why a lot of people obviously build artificial intelligence tools for companies to use, just because it makes the most sense. They have the most data. Obviously, data is like a really big barrier for the consumer point of view or small business. But I honestly just didn't want to be in a B2B company. And I know that sounds like a bit like, oh, like I just don't want to do that. But I think if you're running your own company, you should really want to do it. And I didn't want to run a company that was just enterprise facing and I'm selling this small tool and I'm cold emailing companies just try our tool. And I just didn't like the idea of doing that. So we tried to kind of pivot it a bit for small businesses, understanding that maybe they do have data, they're just not collecting it or using it. But we still, I feel like we just couldn't make the platform make sense. Like we really had to be more specific, maybe into NLP or even a specific task within NLP, like only do sentiment analysis. But everyone who was requesting things in artificial intelligence was requesting things across like such a wide variety, from like image and video and text and voice. And it was just, I didn't feel like we could find something that fit. And then we did not make any revenue for that company. And then people kept trying to pay us for things that we used to do in like digital marketing, and helping small businesses is what we used to do before. And people kept approaching us with that. And we're like, that's the only thing people really seem to want to pay us for, is to help them with their sites and their content and their marketing and putting them out there. And they want a consultation on like what to do and where to go. And so that kind of also helped, that that's still where people were focusing on with us. And maybe that's just what we're good at. And maybe that's just where we're better fit. But yeah, after it kind of hit the end of the year and we did that really cool partnership with Adala, which I loved, where we did the charity picker and the personality matching AI tool. We had so much fun building that, but it just didn't really drive any traffic. It didn't drive any additional kind of signups or people willing to pay for the product. So we decided, we can't make money with this. We're not finding product market fit. I'm sure someone will, because no code AI is so cool. And I'm sure that there will be a lot of companies that come out that fill the different kind of niches in that space. But we're like, it's not going to be us. That's not where our expertise is. It's not what people look for from us. So let's do what we love and do what we're really good at.
That's refreshing to hear.
If it's too honest, I'll never get an investor now.
No, but you know what? But the thing is, if people keep coming up to you, and it's almost like, it's like that meme with like Fry from Futurama, like, shut up and take my money. If people are doing that to you, like, it makes sense to go down that, to at least explore going that way, and making a pivot. And I think I just really find that that's really interesting. I want to back up just a few things as you were talking about that. Mm-hmm. So along the way, what was it about trying to find those customers which was an issue? Was it the feedback of the price point? Was it the feedback that they just didn't understand the platform? What were you noticing as you were trying to go and find product market fit?
Yeah, so I think at the beginning we had tried to price it more like an a la carte model, because we knew it was intimidating, the idea of building an AI. So we tried to make it really inexpensive to use an AI, leaving like a fairly minimal like profit margin there when we were doing that. But it was inexpensive enough to run like text-based like NLP tasks that worked for people using it. So I think if anyone came into the platform early and they had that kind of $10 credit, I don't think anyone went over that $10 credit. There was a few people who used it up, but not that many, which was also a big sign. And then for when we had the a la carte model, it was very expensive to build an AI tool, just because it is expensive to build one in the first place. Relatively, I mean, the text ones weren't crazy expensive. That's why we didn't branch out into image or video or audio at that stage. But people found, the price was intimidating at that point. So we're like, okay, everyone is used to a subscription model, and in no code, pretty much all the platforms use subscription. Maybe we should just do that. And then I think our subscription model was reasonably priced, but I just don't think we were providing the right value. It wasn't about the user. If you can't like tell the value of your product, and I don't think we could. On the website, I really struggled to tell people like, this is what you use this tool for. This tool can help you do X, because the options were almost limitless as well as being limited all at once. And I feel like I couldn't define to the user what they could do with anything. So We always say if the users aren't on your platform, it's never the user, it's always you. You have to fix this product or figure out what's going on. And yeah, like I said, we just couldn't find the right kind of use case for anything that we built and give it sort of an application for an end user or a small business that made sense.
That makes sense. Well, listen, thank you for that detailed response. I think, no, I think this really speaks to, okay, so the reason I say this is so like appropriate right now, about 2 weeks ago, so Stephen Campbell was on the program, and he's doing a lot with like Bubble and like GPT-3 and all those things. And I find that when it's smaller, like really niche down, like approaches, like he has virtual ghostwriter, and it's like, you need this to be summarized, go do this to do this, right? And really focus, like it's a text box, do this, you will get this. And I think with AI and all of those things, like right now, it's easy for people to understand like this to this. But then when you open it up and you can do so much, I almost think you go into this like sci-fi like world, and people are like, I want all of this done with AI, like, and I want it all free or very, especially in no code. That's what I've noticed. So that's a really good thing. Sam, by the way, do you mind? There's questions coming in for you already.
Yeah, of course.
And we'll keep going, but this is great. So a couple things. First of all, Dylan, watching from the Netherlands. I have my other setup, so I can't do my sound effects when people are coming in from different countries. But thank you so much for being here, chilling here in the evening with us, Dylan. Dylan is talking about, he just started his first business a few days ago using Adalo, and it's insane. That's awesome to hear. Also to, I believe it's Felipe was saying, Doc, would you ask Samantha about the composition of your team for the no code AI tool? So when you were using Metaranx, how large was the team? All of those things.
2 people, my husband and I, were the ones building the company, which is really good because in COVID, we do live together. So that's very convenient. We're a really good balance of skills. He's very technical, and obviously I have the marketing side. So it's really great to be able to build things. But of course, with 2 people, we reminded people often that while we appreciated the excitement around everything, there's only so fast 2 people can move, especially given that it's only one person building everything. We had a lot to learn, including about AI, which we were learning from scratch. We'd never done anything with artificial intelligence prior to last year.
That's crazy. But you got a lot done. That is amazing with 2 people. That is amazing. I remember the iterations of the website too. And I think that even every iteration, because I remember the first one was more black and red. Am I correct?
It was very dark purple. We were really thinking of developers as a target audience. And so I'd kind of, built it, I think, for that target market.
Yeah. And I love when it changed more cartoonish. That felt like, I'm like, oh, this felt more lively, like something that almost felt like a friend type kind of thing. Like it was interesting. So I love how, even when you were doing this, the pivoting and everything like that. So that's really awesome.
Thank you.
Let's see. Oh, Dylan said I came in a little bit later. What is her AI platform? So no worries, Dylan. So beforehand, Sam, you're right here. Could you explain how is AI and now where you're shifting with Metaranx? And then someone has a question on the current Metaranx and what you do there as well. But could you explain AI and then here?
Sure. So before, Metaranx was a no-code artificial intelligence platform. And basically our goal was to allow anyone to be able to participate in the artificial intelligence community and build AI tools and maybe even build AI startups off of that platform. And what we were talking about earlier is how much we struggle to find product market fit by, I think, having too broad of a product. And then I think like my inability to actually explain what it does and define it properly for the audience. So then at the start of this year, we pivoted to a completely different business. It's not related at all. But we basically are enabling people to shop local easily. We want the experience to be as simple as any other online shopping experience where you can buy from kind of multiple stores in one go. And we're starting in Toronto, which is our city in Canada.
Good times. Love it. Thank you very much.
No worries.
So Jairus, by the way, Jairus Jones, thanks so much for dropping into the chat. Love it. Great to see you here. He was asking, is Metaranx more of a way of finding application to local businesses, or is it a system allowing integrations for actual purchases through your platform?
So initially, we're starting just as this kind of directory where we're displaying the stores, we're finding the stores, and stores are also applying to be on the platform. It's just free to be displayed on the platform. It doesn't cost a store owner anything. And then the hope as we move the product forward on our roadmap is to allow people to come on and actually buy products from these stores in a much more easier way. In Canada, especially Canada Post is how people get delivery from a lot of the local shops, and it's very expensive. So even if you're in Toronto, you might pay $10 delivery just from one store. And then right now, of course, there's curbside pickup. But if anyone's from Toronto, you know how difficult it can be to drive all over the city to all the different shops. So we're looking at different ways to kind of simplify this and make shopping local online as easy as shopping anywhere else online.
That's very interesting. Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. So Jairus, let me know if that makes sense and if you have more questions, but excellent. So what was I saying? Oh, Metaranx, as before we get to this shift, could you just for a few moments talk about maybe a few. Oh, okay. Let me back up. The reason we're talking about this is a lot of people, I think, are struggling in silence or thinking about they're doing something wrong with their no-code platform or a SaaS or a startup. And it's really easy to put on a brave. Well, it's not. You put on a brave face. You talk about these numbers. It's like everything's great on social. But then down below, you're like, oh, my God, like we only have a couple more weeks, all those things. So could you talk about first, like, how did you feel being in this space and balancing expectations and what other people were doing versus how you were feeling? How did you strike that balance? How was that for you?
Yeah, so I can definitely see how it can be difficult if you go online and you see everyone's kind of success stories, but I wouldn't let that affect you. And I know maybe that's easier said than done, but I think you should be really always impressed and proud of what everyone else creates, because you supporting them and even just a simple retweet, that means when you're also sharing something, they're going to participate and want to support you as well. So I know it can be a bit disheartening if your company's not doing as well, but I don't think you should ever let that make you feel bad. Everyone's entitled and allowed to have success. And I would hope everyone feels that everyone can be successful and that there's room for everyone. But that aside, when your company is not doing as well, I think there's a real kind of attitude, especially in tech, and maybe it's because of that kind of VC culture where we all are trying to show our best numbers. So people are always trying to put out those like, oh, we got, this percent increase when the percent is like, the actual number is like 2 to 4, but the percent increase looks really great. So I would say, just to be honest with yourself, you don't have to share, obviously, all like everything that's going on under the hood of your company if you don't want to, but don't also feel like you have to share numbers that aren't real. I wrote a lot of blog posts in our Metaranx days that were about like our churn and other horrible things that were going on. And I think that's just because that's the truth of what was happening in our company. And I'm not one to kind of put out fake numbers about anything. I just don't see the value in that. I mean, our email sign up list did well, but that's because people were really excited to use the platform. And today I sent out an email to that list knowing that quite a few people are going to unsubscribe because our company is just no longer relevant to them. And that was not something I was excited to do, because obviously I don't want to lose that number, but that number is meaningless. The number doesn't matter if people aren't engaged through that number. So you can have, we had a bunch of signups onto our actual platform, but we had a churn rate that was atrocious. It's somewhere in a blog, so I can link it later, but our churn rate was horrible. And our daily active users just it went up, and then it was like wall, nothing. And I think that it's just, you do yourself and your company such a disservice if you sit there and just keep spinning out all these positive numbers when they're not real. You really find the value in actually talking to your users, trying to iterate the product and really push the product. And if it doesn't work and the users are telling you, this isn't working, then you have to make a decision of where you're going to change to next and how you're going to make that change.
I love it. That's really refreshing. And that sounds good. So now we're going to go into this change. and what's going on here. We alluded to it, but now I really want to get into Metaranx, what you're doing here. I find that it's fascinating. And as you're talking about it, it's very similar. There's two guys, it's Jason and Mark. They're in the UK, and they're doing something similar, not in the aspect of doing the same thing with local businesses, but they're creating a directory first to get the interest of all the stores, and they are going to be working with different businesses that have this ample space because of COVID, and looking at how to basically reallocate their space and to rent it out in different ways. So when you were talking about directory, I'm like, that's like the same format that they were thinking about. So could you talk about how did you arrive on trying to do a directory first? Was it just a knack? Was it using your marketing background? How did you determine that would be the best way?
To be honest, it was just what's the kind of simplest way we could build out a product that would prove out the idea. So there's also a couple other places in Toronto that are doing something similar. And yeah, that's cool to hear that in the UK, they're trying to repurpose people's stores. I think that's a really interesting idea. But yeah, the directory for us was just the simplest way to see, like, are people going to come onto this? Are they clicking on things? Are they using it more and more each day? And so far we found that yes, they are, which is super exciting. So now it's just about kind of getting more shop owners on there, which just sounds like they're also doing. And that's because when our shoppers land there, we need to have as much as possible, because it's that marketplace kind of chicken and egg problem. And it's definitely about displaying as many shop owners as possible, and kind of also giving them that free space that just links out to their store and helps market their store. And then eventually, when it makes more sense for the shopper to actually use it as a shopping channel rather than a directory, then they have a lot of selection to choose from.
That's awesome to hear. Erica's in the chat, by the way. Erica's, thank you so much for being here. Enos? I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, but thank you so much for being here as well. You know, I would have my sound effects if I had my soundboard hooked up, but thank you for being here. Erica's talking about she wants to do a directory for graphic designers. So she's loving what you're talking about. So we're talking about directory. So, and maybe you can talk about it, or if you don't want to, that's totally fine. As you're building out the directory, what kind of KPIs or key performance indicators are you going to have that green light? Like, you're targeting having these businesses. What are some of the things, if someone's trying to do it as well, in a different area? I'm not saying do not be going to Toronto.
There's there's always allowed to be competitors.
Yeah. How does that look? How do you create those KPIs?
Yeah, so I think from our perspective, for a shopper, our KPIs, we have kind of like two target users when you think about it. So we have the shop owners and the shoppers, which you can see in the nav bar there. So the shop owners, it's about getting them signed up. So how many are applying to be signed up? How many are we signing up a day? And I like to do some other kind of side stuff around them. So like, how much content are we putting out about them? How much is each shop owner kind of driving traffic to us? And then on the vice versa, for the shoppers, it's about how much traffic are we driving to the shop owner? So how many people are landing on our site? How many people are clicking through to different shops in the directory right now, and how long people are kind of staying on the site? And then as a side kind of part of that, about the content, and what content are they reading about our shop owners? What shop owners are people most interested in learning about? And that kind of thing. So if you're doing this from like a graphic designer's point of view, I think it would be similar. You'd be looking for signing up your graphic designers, and then also people who need the graphic design services, and seeing the KPIs within there.
Okay, excellent. Now I noticed that you're using a type form as well when you're onboarding. So are you, so when you're having that segmentation, are you then doing like an onboarding email sequence for the shop owners or the shoppers, and kind of segmenting them out that way, or kind of just getting as much information and then analyzing that later?
Yes. So for us, for now, we're doing something that's not as scalable with the shop owners. So when they fill out the application form, we really want to build that relationship with the shop owners, so that they know, like, this is a good directory to be part of. You can be part of our blog. We really want to have that kind of personal outreach, because for us, it's about kind of like building up and amplifying the Toronto community altogether. So I'm not doing automated emails with shop owners. When they apply, I directly email them. And then for some, I might ask to do a blog piece or include them in like a listicle kind of blog and that kind of thing. And then for the shoppers, when they do like contact us, the ones who do are typically people who want to tell us about another city to go to. But if you're reaching out as a shopper, then you're going kind of onto our email list, and then you would get the typical kind of onboarding email. And once our shopping directory kind of has more of that shopping component, then I think, start doing more aggressive email marketing. I would say email marketing is what I'm worse at doing.
No, this is good. Thank you so much for being so honest and talking about it. A lot of people are interested. Oh my goodness. People are saying, thank you so much for sharing. There's so much right there. And so Jairus is asking, what marketing methods are you using to target some of the smaller local businesses and shop owners to use on your platform?
Sure. So to target shop owners, for me, I think what I've noticed in Toronto, and maybe it's just from being in the tech industry, is in the tech industry, like having a PR piece about your company is just so normal. Like I don't know pretty much any tech startup that hasn't got like PR pieces and blog pieces and all this content out there about them. But for small businesses or kind of shops and e-commerce stores, I haven't really noticed that kind of same push to have content out there about your store. And so from an SEO perspective, as many link backs as you can have online about your shop, where you're telling, these search engines result pages, like what you're all about, that's super important. So the thing I want to do for shop owners is just provide that value. Is our blog gets a good amount of traffic per month. This is just a free content piece about you. We can do an interview, or we can do like the listicle style where I talk about what your store is within like a certain topic, like the best like fitness stores or local bookshops or those kind of things. So for me right now, it's all about reaching out to those shop owners and providing value and putting them on our blog, which makes for, I think, really great content and really great social media content. And then our podcast will also serve that purpose. When we do season 3 this year, we're going to do a focus on the local and small shops in Toronto. So I'm super excited about that.
Good times. All right. And we're going to have in the links down below to make sure that they can check out your podcast as well and all of those things. So that's great. Dustin is talking about building traction through content. Loves it. Jairus says, this is great information and insights. Thanks. And also Vim's in the house on our Twitch channel. Vim is awesome. He is new to the community. He is, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to tell people about you. Vim, you're doing a great job, but Vim actually set up our Discord channel and everything going live. And he is an entrepreneur. He's in college and just getting started. So this is, you're going to learn a lot, especially from Sam. He's asking, he just got here. He's asking what's going on. This episode is all about pivoting and understanding your audience and then going there and building your business in that pivot. So doubling down on what's working, and Sam's been gracious enough to tell her story and give her time to talk to all of you. So
I'm happy to. Thank you all so much.
This is good. Yeah, people are loving this. So real quick, so let's talk about this. Okay, we'll first talk about, I think, especially ones that are in your local area, to make sure if we could make sure that we drive the right traffic for you as well. What are you looking for? Say, for instance, if it's a small business in Toronto, how can they help you? Would you have them sign up on the site? What would you have them do for Metaranx now?
For sure. So if you run a store in Toronto, whether it's just an e-commerce or you have a brick and mortar, we would obviously love to display your store on our site. Right now, we're focusing on Shopify store owners, and that's because when we do the integration for products, we have to do it the easiest way possible, and focusing on one platform makes the most sense. A lot of stores in Toronto seem to be on Shopify, and that could be because Shopify is a Canadian company and they started in Ottawa and they have huge offices in Toronto. So it could just be that a lot of shops happen to gravitate towards them. So if you are on Shopify, then we would absolutely love to put you on the platform. So if you can apply to the shop owners page, and then of course you can always reach out on social. I'm happy to do any kind of collaborations, blog posts, marketing, anything.
I love this. Okay, this is great. So we do have our audience is in Toronto. By the way, I've been to Toronto 3 times because I was at a fitness expo. It used to happen every June downtown, right by the, is it Blue Jays?
Is it at the Metro Convention Center?
Yep. I was there and let me tell you, I love Toronto. I love Toronto.
Yeah, I love my city. I feel very lucky to live here.
Oh my goodness. So any support we can do, anything. And actually we have our past client, Aaron Legend, who used to be in Olympia. He's in Toronto. So
Very
that's,
cool.
I'm thinking, but I only have like fitness and CrossFit right there.
That's awesome.
This is excellent. We're getting a lot of feedback saying, great, this is wonderful. Thank you so much. And if some are in different languages, and I am sorry. I only speak English. I am so sorry, but I will translate it later. I will definitely translate it later, but I'm sure it's a positive thing. So thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
There's two things, Sam, as I was writing this down, we got to talk. Okay. When you were talking about Shopify, I got to talk about Shopify apps in a second. But before we go into that direction, we got to talk about this feels like watching season 22 of Game of Thrones before everyone. That's great. That is great. That's funny. So yeah, you're getting a lot of insights right here in this one interview with Sam, because you've seen what it looks like with a SaaS company or a platform shifting, and you're getting a lot of insights what you can do and to get that leg up in your competition. So really take the time to take notes, and if you have questions, drop them in the chat. So this is really good. I have to ask you about SEO. You were talking about that's where you came from, your specialty.
Let's do it.
Okay. So I want to make sure that I'm doing the right things with SEO. Could you just tell me what should I be doing? I need to start ranking, and it's more than I just want to be number one on Google. How do I start building the ecosystem, doing it right? You're blogging a lot, so I'm hearing like maybe I should be doing that or constantly updating. Tell me what others, that myself and others in the audience that need to start working on this, what would you what's the approach I should be taking?
So I'll talk about website SEO, which is very different from YouTube SEO. And as we grow our YouTube channel, I'll also be exploring YouTube SEO. So I will have to keep you posted on that. But for website SEO, the best thing you can do is content that's targeted. So I'm not sure if everyone knows about Google Keyword Planner, but if you have a business account, like a business Gmail, you can use Google Keyword Planner for free. And so you can do some research around your domain and competitors' domains and keywords that the audience, that your prospective audience or maybe your existing audience would use to find your website. So if you're selling coffee, then you'd want to look up the different types of keywords surrounding buying coffee online, and you'll be able to see kind of the popularity of the keywords and also the competition, which is about kind of the SEM. So that's the search engine marketing when people pay for ads. So I like to choose keywords that have kind of the highest traffic paired with the lowest possible competition. And that's just because there will be fewer ads bidding on those keywords, so your organic content wouldn't get as pushed down. And then you want to build out organic content around that. So it's important to think of, there's a lot of components, but everything from your link names to your titles, to what your actual content is about, to how often you publish content, to your image names and your image alt tags. There's a lot of different components that go into kind of making your website holistically really great for SEO. And then, of course, your content has to provide value. So it's great if you answer a question, but if no one's looking up that question, it doesn't really matter. And then it's great if your website ranks for something that's a super popular search term, but if your website isn't answering something with regards to that search term, then it also doesn't matter. So you have to make sure that your content is quality for the users, so that when they're typing in a search query and you're populating for that, you're actually answering whatever question it is that they may have. So I would always recommend blogging. I think that's the best way to build up content around certain topics and to rank for different types of topics within your field. So for us, we write content, of course, about the different shop owners. And then we also write different content around local shop. You'll notice that's a phrase that I use quite a bit in my content right now, because local shop Toronto is a pretty high, it's got a lot of traffic on that keyword. So I need to kind of generate a lot of content around that so that we can rank for that more successfully. So that's where I kind of target my content, and I try to put out as much as possible. I know blogging is not everyone's favorite thing to do, and it can definitely take a lot of time. But if you can even put out like one content piece, like a nice 700 word one, maybe every 2 weeks, then I think you'll do a great service to your website.
That's excellent. Thank you so much. Let's see. Dylan was saying, I made a website with card. Is that good to use, or just one page maybe not enough. So should he be adding more to a blog, like those kind of things? What would you suggest?
Yeah, so I haven't used Card personally, so I can't speak to how it works. But if you if you have a really in-depth one-page website, and maybe it's just a personal one that you're looking to rank for your name, and it's yourname.com, then you should be able to rank if your title tag and your meta description and the content within that one page is really targeted towards you and what you're doing, and maybe your resume or your projects and things like that. If you're looking to write more content, it's hard to kind of put all that content on one page. So if you were blogging, you would need a separate blog because you wouldn't be able, I guess, to kind of fit that blog into a one-page website. But I don't think there's really any harm in a one-page website. It just, there hits a point where if you want to add more content, that you are going to need to expand beyond that.
That's good questions. First of all, as you're talking about this, all these great things, we need to see, we might just have to pay you. We might have to see, can we pay you just for a checklist of what people need to do? I see people writing down, people are saying, I need this.
I have a presentation, so I have a presentation on SEO because that's who I am. So I'm happy to share that. And I'm sure I have like a simple checklist, but the PowerPoint presentation is good.
I love it.
If people are down for that.
Oh man. Yeah. I hear people saying, yes, thank you so much. Yeah.
And there was a really great article from Hacker News at the start of 2020 about some changes in SEO that a company did some really cool tests on. So I'll also find that one. That one's in my emails. And then there is a couple of YouTubers that I've had a friend recommend to me who are really good at YouTube SEO. So I can also link out to them. Again, I haven't tested anything with YouTube SEO. That's a very new world, and I'm excited to explore that.
That is awesome. This is great. People are saying thank you so much. We'll be adding that in the description, but also in the Discord channel. I just dropped a link for Discord as well. Jason, you're in the house. By the way, Jason's here. Oh man, we'll talk about this. So Jason, you were talking about not too long ago. So Jason, can I tell people about you and Mark are currently doing this expansion, this directory in the UK. Is that correct? Let me know if we can talk about this. This is perfect timing for you being here. Also, too, thank you so much, Sam, for saying like all of these links. This will be in the Discord and we'll put in the description. You don't have to run and do it right now, Sam.
Oh my God, let me edit. Make sure there's no spelling errors in my presentation.
Oh,
I'll be so nervous.
No, this is great. This is great. So if anyone is watching and they're like, well, how can I see what people are chatting about? We just created a new Discord server. And this was actually from Vim. I had it set up. I just never talked about it. And he was on last week. He's like, why don't you talk about Discord? So he set it up with the bots and everything. So thank you so much. That's cool. So there's going to be a link down below to join our Discord, and you'll see all of these things added, all of those things. And also, if you're on YouTube and you're missing something, say, for instance, our notifications, that's because YouTube does not put out all notifications to all subscribers when you go live. So if you're in the Discord channel, you'll always get a notification when we go live, when we have these great speakers like Sam on. So just keep that in mind. That's why you should join. So Jason's here. Jason, let me know in the chat below. Put your company or what you're doing, but you were building out a directory too in the UK. So this is actually perfect. And I would watch the previous few minutes about what Sam's doing, because this aligns exactly what you and Mark are doing in getting started. I think they started about a week ago. So this is perfect timing. Yeah. So, okay. SEO, you're going to be giving us this. Okay. I have this next question because we're going to be doing a breakdown on this in the coming weeks. And that is the potential of Shopify apps in the marketplace. So am I understanding correctly, when you're getting started, you're going to have a Shopify app that will be able to integrate with different stores? Is that correct?
Yes. So that is what we'll be launching in the Shopify marketplace. I can't speak a lot to apps because I'm not the product person, but you can ask me anything and I can see what I know.
Okay. No, that's really great. Well, so we're talking about this just because, and first of all, I love that you centralized and saw the need. Let's back up just for a second. How did you find out most shop owners were using Shopify? Did you just ask them? How was that approach to even find out that information?
So yeah, we do know some small business owners and we did talk to some, and it is a mix. Like there are people, of course, who use Wix and WooCommerce. I would say like those are kind of like the second most used. I really think Shopify is very popular in Toronto because it has such a big presence here. And of course, it's a really cool company, and everyone keeps up to date with the news on them and things like that. So since we were starting in Toronto, it just made sense for us to partner, like to be able to use like the Shopify marketplace to kind of reach more business owners that way. And of course, we're hoping at some point that we can become a kind of Shopify partner and affiliate to benefit from those programs that Shopify offers people as well. So yeah, we just think it's a great place to start, and that there's always the possibility that through people in Toronto, we could also maybe talk to some people at Shopify if we ever needed to. And a couple of people have already kindly connected us to a couple of people there, which I always really appreciate. So that connection to like having that kind of Toronto base where it's easier to get in touch with people at Shopify could also make it easier for what we're trying to build.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful. Okay, we're gonna be we're gonna be talking about that in a second. That's great. Before we move on, just real quick, Vim was just making sure. Could you please explain or define what SEO stands for?
Yeah, so SEO stands for search engine optimization, and basically optimizing your website or your content for search. So when someone says SERPs, they're referring to the search engine results pages, and Google is obviously the one people are most familiar with. So when you are trying to optimize your content for them, you want to choose the search engine that most of your users are on. I would hedge a safe bet that most users for most people are using Google's search engine, but that of course depends on your target market. And then you want to optimize your content with everything that I mentioned, from the links names to the meta description and the title tag and your titles throughout and your actual content and your buttons and the accessibility of your page and the mobile optimization, everything like that. Optimize it for your target user and for the search engine that they're coming through.
Excellent. That was so concise. Thank you so much.
I felt like I was rambling. I was like, I need to wrap this up.
No, it was good. It was good. And it's great for beginners because, listen, Vim, you're asking that. There are tons of people that had the same question that didn't ask. So that's awesome to know. And that gives a really nice overview of what that means. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ask anything.
That's good. So, okay, we're going to shift over to Shopify. And that's so interesting how you found out the niche. And I love the research that you did to now really target down what kind of shop owner you need and then going from there. So if you're starting out or you're making a pivot, remember, think about all the feedback that Sam's been getting and talking about. Number one, earlier, she was saying that people were coming to her for marketing and were asking about that pivot. And then also she did research. Her and her husband did research to find out what the shop owners were using. They were talking to people. So again, having that more detailed breakdown of their local businesses, and you see it clearly identified on their website, who it's for, and the platform that they're using. So now we're going to be talking about too, Shopify apps. I think there's a huge way in the market of creating Shopify apps, good Shopify apps, and the market is exploding this year. You know it a lot more than me. How did it expand in Shopify, the stores in 1 year? I don't even know the numbers. It was incredible.
There was some crazy stat about like how much their revenue had even grown last year. I don't remember the numbers, so I won't say it, but it was on LinkedIn the other day, and I shared the content about it because it's crazy. It's because everyone, I think, has taken this past year to reevaluate maybe what they really want to pursue in their career. And so people have maybe opened up new e-commerce shops and joined the marketplace as a developer building apps. And I think there's a lot of opportunities through Shopify.
Yeah, I see, and even Vim was talking about trying to do drop shipping, which is totally fine. You can do drop shipping, and there's tons of integrations you can do with Alibaba on Shopify, and we've had it for clients. But I saw it was either the CEO or maybe the COO of Shopify. They were on My First Million, and he was talking about that Shopify, they wanted to equip, basically, if you're looking at the gold mine, you could be trying to be involved in the gold mine or or sell the pickets to the people going for the gold mine. And he was saying that Shopify stores, they're selling the picket, they're selling the pan for you to go get your gold, and you see it. And I just see you living on top of that ecosystem with Shopify apps. That's just another picket that you can be giving. And that's a huge micro SaaS that you can create for a very specific target audience. And what I love about Shopify, the difference between open source like WordPress or things like that, Shopify, you have to, it's almost like iOS, it's almost like Mac, it's got to stick in this box.
Yes.
And so if you're developing, it's a lot easier because you have a lot less of those different nuances. You build it and then it works across Shopify. Am I saying that right, Sam?
From my understanding, yes. For building an app for there's like a kind of, it is, I would say, more like Apple, where it's like much more of like a strict parameters of what you would build to put on their app marketplace. But I think that is a benefit, like you said, like I think having an outline of kind of what you can build and what it can possibly do or look like is much more beneficial than I think having just like kind of a blank slate where anything can happen.
Yeah. That's really, really interesting. And also too, is your husband doing the app design for Shopify? What is he doing?
So he'll be doing, he's building out aside from like the actual, like our marketplace itself, he's building out the app that would go onto Shopify.
Okay. All right. We're going to have to see if he can come on to the show too. I'm not sure if he's willing.
I think he would be. It's definitely the role that he says that I get to do is all the PR on camera stuff.
Even if it's like
questions. But I think he'd be happy to talk about the development work. He's obviously had to do so much change in the development from like what Metaranx started to till now. So I think you could ask him about developing almost anything at this point.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, because we're doing this, we're doing another series of understanding, and I love that Metaranx is part of a marketplace. I think there are just so many ways, powerful marketplaces, either being a part of marketplaces or creating your own specific marketplace. I think it's just hugely beneficial to understand the supply and demand, and the marketplaces that are in Shopify, that marketplace, Airtable's marketplace, Twitch extension marketplaces, and Roblox. I know that's a kid's game, but the marketplace of Roblox, I could not understand how much these kids are making online. It is insane. I am fascinated with looking at developers, how they're making apps. And so we'd love to have your husband on.
Yeah,
that would be
amazing. And yeah, I think the marketplace was like something that we really wanted with Metaranx too at the start. It was just something we could never get to, but where we wanted kind of people to be able to build like these AI startups and like AI tools off of our platform and be able to sell them through the platform. And with regards to online games, like I remember even when there wasn't like a marketplace to sell stuff, there was still like an economy within the game where you were trying to buy and sell stuff. So I think there's that drive no matter what you're doing to kind of turn it into almost like something profitable and do something cool off of it. And that's why I like a marketplace concept always.
I love it. Good stuff. Dylan saying he was talking about where to find potential customers. He's saying that he found them on Instagram as well. I followed all the potential customers I could find for my small my area, all the followers as well, and then really started going into that niche, and then built out from there. So that's awesome. That's really good
smart
stuff. Real quick, and thank you for taking the time. We just have a few more minutes. Anyone that's in the chat, and first of all, everyone watching, thank you so much for the time and being here. Really good questions. And Sam, you just knocked it out of the park. This has been so much fun. So ones, make sure I'm seeing people join the Discord, ask questions there. And Jason actually just put the link to his thing. And so if you want to a first time looking at it or something like this, it's at Anywhere HQ. So Rethinking Workplace. And then this is what you build this on. Jason, did you do this on like Doric or Card? I don't even know. I mean, I guess I could check real quick. But so I'm seeing it. Yeah, tell me what you're building this on. So rent, venue, space to remote workers. So they have a breakdown, and then you can join the newsletter and then get in touch. And I think that's where they're building out that directory. So just getting started.
Well, if you want to do any content marketing swaps, I love those. So just let me know.
Good times. Jason, you heard it. That's really good. Oh, Jason said that he's using a card website. Okay.
Very cool.
Good. Okay, so Inos is saying, what were you using as a startup that got you to where you are now? And what's better than what you're using now? So where were you? And how did you get here, I guess?
Okay, so where were we was back in 2020, we were thinking about artificial intelligence and how it's kind of like a closed off space, of course, for people who have studied the field for a long time. But we kind of saw we envisioned it where almost anyone could participate in artificial intelligence. And so that's how we started off with. I don't know if you're asking about the specific products or how it was built, but that's where we started with. And then from there, we shifted into this space because we couldn't find product market fit, like we were saying before. And so now we're focusing on shopping local in our city. And then we hope to expand to other cities and make the shopping platform as easy as shopping anywhere else online.
You know what, Sam? And I wonder if he's asking, and please let me know if this is true. What technology or what platforms have you used as well?
Sure. So the stack. So I mean, I use Webflow for our website. I love Webflow. I've coded websites from scratch, and I will never in my life do that again. And there's no other platform that I've tried that I would say that about. I personally didn't enjoy working with WordPress when I worked with it. I didn't mind Squarespace when I've used it, but the freedom that Webflow gives you is just so good. So I really enjoy it, and that's just where our front-facing website is always on. It allows me to like quickly edit everything and keep that like just under mine, and then product. So for the no-code AI platform, I think it was built using React, I would assume, because it's a web app, and then this one would also be built on React as well. And then I'm assuming the Shopify app's built with React, but I actually don't know. That's a mystery. And yeah, so I hope that's an insight. I'm sorry, I'm not the tech person. So the tech stack is obviously a bit of a mystery to me. It works, and that's all I know. But yeah, my tech stack is Webflow.
That's awesome. No, that's really good to know because, a lot of times we're talking about you've got to find a platform that works for you and that works and that you enjoy. And I love how like you and Sako, whenever I hear someone talk about Webflow and like, it's like a passion.
I'm obsessed. And honestly, if people wanted to build a directory, I think you could actually build one out on Webflow using like their CMS function or something like that. So if they're looking at building a directory, I would say try it on Webflow.
Yeah, that's awesome to see. So again, I was thinking about that. So the last site, I didn't know. So Metaranx, it's always been on Webflow. Oh, yeah. The front, I didn't even know that.
All the changes, every iteration you've seen is just me changing everything around on Webflow, and I've bought so many other templates.
That is funny. And some people, Dylan's talking about he loves Webflow in the chat. This is great stuff. Yeah. Also, Jason was talking about that he used Softer to create their database, their directory that they're building. So it's card and then that one.
Very cool.
We got Sabrina in the chat talking about hooray for Webflow. Yeah, Enos is saying thanks. So I think that's exactly you gave the exact answers necessary. So that's great to hear. Okay. So just two more questions and then we'll wrap up. So you have now had an experience in no code. You have built a platform. You've pivoted. You're going in this way. And over the last year, could you summarize and I know, right? Because it's been 2020 and all these things, but what's the one or 2 points that you would really help a new founder or ones that are trying to make it into no code or go into this space? What kind of advice would you have?
Yeah. So I think when you're starting a new company, I don't think that you honestly can succeed if you do it in a box. And I think that no code is really big on build in public. And I think that everyone to be able to do that, it can be very difficult, but the no code community is the best you will find for launching a product too. So if they are your target market, I feel like you have to get on Twitter and you have to get involved in the Slack channels and you have to participate in the live events and get to know the community and share your product with them and be open to the feedback that they're going to give. Your company is, of course, you spend a lot of time building it and you think it's amazing, but that's just your own perspective. You know how it's built, you know how it's supposed to work. You really need to put it out there and not just ask people what they're doing or where they're getting lost, but how they're using it and why they're using it. And you need to be able then to articulate those use cases to the rest of your audience. So I think kind of the two most important things you can do is engage with the community. Again, NoCo's very supportive, so don't be nervous about putting yourself and your company out there. And then the second would be is to actually get people using your platform. So don't keep building and keeping it to yourself and not releasing something to people, even if it takes a long time, or even if you're not that comfortable with what you've put out. I don't think we were ever happy with anything we put out. We're always looking to make it better, and it's always embarrassing to put something out. So just do it, get engaged with the community, and then actually take that engagement and do something useful with it. Have people use your product and iterate it so that you can really build a solid company and a platform or product that people want to use and will pay to use.
Good times. I love it. I love it. And one last thing to wrap it up. We're talking about Metaranx. We see all these changes for the new year. What is your goal with Metaranx this year? Where do you see it going for 2021?
Oh man, I have lofty goals. I want it to be like the same as when you go on Amazon. So you can land on Amazon. It's super easy to shop. You can find anything that you need, and it's kind of just a no-brainer to go there and shop. But I instead want to bring that same kind of shopping style to local shops. So I want you to be able to shop within your community or shop within the Toronto stores, wherever you are, those city stores that really matter to you that maybe you haven't gotten to visit as often, of course, because of COVID. So I just want to make that shopping experience so convenient and so easy, and kind of like it's just it's the no-brainer to go and shop the local route.
Love it. I can't wait to see it. People are saying thank you so much. Sam is awesome. So many people are enjoying this. This is good. This is good. So where can the good people find you? Should they find on Twitter? Should they go to Metaranx? What would you like?
If you want to find me, you can ask SEO whatever you want. I'm on Twitter. And then of course you can always go to Metaranx and you can look us up and browse through. Even if you're outside of Toronto, it's great if you're willing to look through the content and learn about some of the shops that we have here. And then if you're a shop owner, I'd of course love for you to apply your store. We're currently displaying shops that are on Shopify stores in Toronto, but even if you're not, you can apply, because as we grow and expand, there could of course just be an opening then for your store there. And of course it's free. And then, yeah, I think that's it. I'm on Twitter, and that's where you can find me.
Good times. Sam, thank you so much. We've got people in the chat just saying thank you so much for your time. Oh my goodness. Oh, let's see. They were saying, okay, Vim was saying, does this work in the US or just Toronto?
Just Toronto for now.
Just for now. But you never know. Expansion, take a look. Make sure that you're looking at it. And all of the things they're going to be doing with the app, cannot wait to have a part 2 about that. But this is really good. This helps so many different ones, so many makers and creators. So again, thank you for your time. Please don't go anywhere. We'll wrap up.
I'm done.
But this is good. Jason, thank you so much for sharing your store. Congratulations on Anywhere HQ. We can't wait to see your journey as well. And everyone, thank you so much for watching. Again, thank you, Sam, for being here and being a wonderful guest. And we'll see all of you. We'll see all of you good people on the next live stream.
Thank you all so much. I really appreciate you listening.